You wake up one morning and you realize you're not her first choice, and not because she said it out loud. No, it's much worse than that. It's in the silences. It's in the way she hesitates before responding to your messages. It's in the way she's present, but not really with you. Her body is there, but her attention is elsewhere. Her smile feels rehearsed. Her compliments feel hollow, and that feeling in your gut, that dull, persistent ache, that's not insecurity, that's your intuition sounding the alarm. Now, to face this truth is no small thing. It takes courage, it takes brutal honesty, because it means you have to stop pretending. You have to stop spinning a fantasy around someone who already placed you second, or third, or somewhere behind the one she really wanted, and that's a devastating realization. Most men run from it. They drown it in distraction, in false hope, in desperate efforts to win her over. But you can't fix a foundation that was never laid on truth, so confront it, not with bitterness, but with clarity. Look at the situation not through the eyes of a desperate man, but through the eyes of someone waking up. Because clarity is power. When you acknowledge where you truly stand, you stop trying to fight for a place in someone else's fantasy. You start building your own reality. You stop molding yourself to be chosen and start choosing yourself. It's the hardest part of the journey, standing still in front of the mirror and saying, "She doesn't see me as the one." But that statement, painful as it is also liberating, because now you know. Now you can stop playing the part of the standby. You can stop hoping for a shift that never comes. You can stop wasting energy on a connection that only ever ran one way. See, truth, even when it hurts, is your greatest ally. It doesn't coddle you, it calls you, and this truth, it's calling you to rise, to stop being a placeholder in someone else's story, and to start becoming the main character in your own. You may not have been her first choice, but that doesn't mean you're not valuable. It just means you're looking for your validation in the wrong place. So accept this moment, own it fully, let the truth break through the illusion, and let it light the fire of your transformation. Because the moment you stop needing to be her first choice is the moment you start becoming your own first priority. Reclaiming your self-respect begins the moment you stop settling for partial love, half-hearted attention, and inconsistent effort. It begins when you stop negotiating your worth with someone who treats you like an option. When you're not her first choice, every instinct in you may scream to prove her wrong, to win her affection, to outshine the competition, to be so good that she finally sees you. But this is a trap. Because the more you bend, the more you lose the very thing that might have made you truly valuable in the first place, your self-respect. Think about it. Every time you respond instantly to her delayed replies, every time you accept being treated as a fallback, every time you offer more just to get less, you are sending a message not just to her, but to yourself. You're telling the world, "This is all I think I'm worth," and that message starts to echo in every area of your life. Respect isn't demanded, it's demonstrated, and it begins with how you treat yourself when no one else is watching. It's in the boundaries you enforce, the standards you uphold, and the dignity you refuse to surrender. If she doesn't prioritize you, you don't need to shout or sulk. You simply withdraw your energy, not as a punishment, but as a statement. Because your energy is a gift, your presence is not a consolation prize, and your love is not a bargaining chip to be traded for validation. This is not about revenge or cold indifference. It's about rising to a level where you no longer depend on someone's shaky interest to feel secure. It's about understanding that the woman who hesitates to choose you is doing you a favor. She's revealing the space you need to grow into someone who will no longer chase love, but command it. And that transformation doesn't come by waiting for her to change. It comes when you decide that you're no longer available for one-sided affection. It comes when you start speaking to yourself like someone who matters. You look in the mirror and remind yourself, "I am not here to be picked. I am here to be respected, and I will never again lower my standards just to be seen." That decision, that's where your power begins. When you reclaim your self-respect, you stop chasing what's running away, and you start attracting what's meant to meet you on equal ground. Rise with discipline. That's the antidote, not noise, not drama. Not passive aggression, discipline, the quiet, relentless decision to become something greater than the version of you that was content with being overlooked. Because let me tell you, rejection will either become your excuse or your ignition. And if you're willing to suffer for growth, even when no one's watching, you're already ahead of 90% of people still hoping things will magically change. Discipline is not glamorous. It's waking up early to move your body even when your heart feels heavy. It's showing up to your responsibilities even when you'd rather escape into distractions. It's choosing to read, to learn, to build, instead of numbing yourself with fleeting pleasures. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you chip away at the weak parts of you, the neediness, the insecurity, the dependence on external validation. You stop asking for someone else to save you, and instead, you start crafting yourself into someone who doesn't need to be saved. And make no mistake, this won't be easy. Discipline means choosing what you need over what you want right now. It means setting boundaries that isolate you. It means saying no when it would be easier to say yes just to feel connected. But with every repetition, every habit, every promise kept to yourself, you gain something that no one can take away from you: integrity. And that's where true confidence is born, not from compliments, not from attention, not from her choosing you, but from knowing that you're doing the work whether anyone sees it or not. You want to stop being someone's second choice. Then start being your own highest standard. Wake up with a plan. Attack your weaknesses. Learn to be alone without being lonely. Create a vision so clear for your life that anyone who doesn't fit it naturally fades away. Because when a man lives with discipline, he becomes rooted, steady, dangerous, and ironically, that's when people start to notice, not because he begged for their love, but because he no longer needed it. A disciplined man is rare, and rare men are respected, not just by others, but more importantly by themselves. Redefining the game begins the moment you stop trying to win someone else's approval and start living as though you already have your own. Because chasing someone, especially someone who isn't choosing you, locks you in a pattern where your value is always determined by how they respond. You become reactive. You wait for her to text back. You overthink every word you say. You adjust your behavior to keep her interested, and in doing so, you give away your power piece by piece until you no longer recognize the man in the mirror. But when you decide to stop chasing, something fundamental shifts. You stop asking, "What can I do to make her want me?" and instead ask, "What kind of man do I need to become to be so deeply fulfilled that I don't need her validation?" That single question rewires your identity. It shifts your energy because suddenly it's not about convincing anyone to choose you. It's about creating a life so purposeful, so magnetic, so full of intention that anyone who doesn't align with that vision is naturally left behind. You start showing up differently. You speak with calmness instead of desperation. You move with direction instead of aimlessness. Your silence becomes powerful, not passive. You become the man who walks into a room and doesn't need attention to feel significant, because he's already defined his worth internally, and that, ironically, is when people begin to chase you. That's when the game flips. Not because you played it better, but because you refused to play by the old rules at all. The truth is, attraction isn't built on pursuit alone, it's built on energy. And the energy of a man who knows where he's going, who's building something real, who isn't waiting for someone to see him as enough. That energy is unshakable. You don't need to say your high value. You live it, you don't need to prove you're worthy. Your habits declare it for you. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. Not by manipulating, not by pretending, but by becoming. You embody what you once begged for. You become solid, grounded, whole, and suddenly the game doesn't matter anymore because you've outgrown it. You're no longer the player desperate to win a hand. You've become the one who holds the deck. Living with purpose is the final, unshakable answer to rejection, to heartbreak, to not being chosen, because purpose gives you direction when emotion clouds your vision. It gives you identity when someone else's disinterest threatens to make you feel invisible. When you live with purpose, you no longer need to be the center of someone else's world. You've already made yourself the center of your own mission. You stop asking, why didn't she choose me? And you start asking, what am I here to do and who do I need to become to do it? That shift changes everything. It pulls you out of the narrow focus of one relationship and launches you into a broader, deeper reality. The world needs something from you. Your gifts, your strength, your voice, your discipline, none of it is meant to be wasted waiting around for one person's recognition. When you find your purpose, truly find it, rejection no longer feels like the end. It becomes a redirection. You begin to see that the universe didn't take something from you. It revealed who wasn't meant to walk beside you on the next stage of your journey. You start to feel grateful for being overlooked because it forced you to look inward, to dig deeper, to uncover strength that comfort never would have taught you. And as your purpose grows, so does your confidence. Not the loud kind that shouts for attention, but the quiet kind that builds kingdoms while others are chasing moments. You start focusing on legacy over lust, on discipline over distraction, on creation over consumption. You begin to lead your own life instead of trying to be accepted into someone else's. There's something powerful, something sacred, about a man who has decided to become unstoppable not for revenge, not to prove a point, but because he knows he was built for more. And when that fire is lit inside you, you stop waiting for the one who didn't choose you. You start building the life that the right people won't want to miss. And if she ever looks back, let her see a man who didn't just recover. Let her see a man who resurrected, a man who turned rejection into fuel, silence into strategy, heartbreak into a higher calling, a man who lives with such purpose that being someone's second choice is laughable compared to what he's become. So now you stand at the edge of a decision, one that most men never make. You've felt the sting of not being her first choice. You've swallowed the bitter truth, faced it without flinching, and you've come this far. But this is where everything changes, not with her, but with you, because the truth is, being passed over, overlooked, or not chosen, that isn't the end of your story, it's the beginning of a far greater one. It's the moment where you stop chasing validation and start building something unshakable within yourself. You stop wondering if you're enough for her, and start making yourself more than enough for the life you're destined to lead. And that life, it's not built on apologies or begging. It's built on discipline, on purpose, on fire, on the refusal to settle. You don't get stronger by being accepted. You get stronger by being forged in rejection, shaped by solitude, sharpened by every moment someone didn't see your worth. Let them doubt you. Let them walk away. Let them choose someone else. Because you're choosing you now. You're choosing the path of the grounded, focused, dangerous man who doesn't need to be chosen, because he's already chosen himself. And when you do that, something incredible happens. You stop being an option in someone else's life and start becoming a force in your own. So rise, build, lead, become, because you weren't made to be her first choice. You were made to become your own final standard.